Much. So, hello everyone. My name is Madhi. I'm a first-year PhD student in applied linguistics at York University, actually, and it's been almost just 1 month since I arrived in Canada. So, my today's presentation is from a bigger project I've done in my master's thesis, which was a mixed method study regarding actually metacognitive reading strategies, proficiency, and gender differences in the application of metacognitive reading strategies. So I have already actually published the mixed methods part, and this is a quantitative part of my study, which is a non-experimental one. So firstly, I'm going to actually give you my topic again: proficiency and metacognitive reading strategies usage among Iranian EFL learners. So first of all, I think it's very good to make a brief introduction of some of the key concepts that I have in my presentation. First of all, it's metacognition, which is actually the theoretical framework that my study is built on. This concept actually was first introduced by Flavel in 1979. And Flavel describes it as the knowledge and cognition about cognitive phenomena. In a more simple language and under my topic, it's about understanding when and how to apply specific learning strategies. Or more simpler, it's thinking about thinking when we refer to metacognition. So I have provided a ready-made picture here, which is actually the metacognition cycle. Metacognition has two components, actually. First, metacognitive knowledge, and secondly, metacognitive regulation. When we say metacognitive knowledge, it means the awareness and understanding of the strategies that can be used. And when we say metacognitive regulation, it's the ability to regulate our learning through three phases, according to Brown's model of metacognition, which was called planning, monitoring, and evaluating. So in this cycle, we can see that first, we assess the task. For example, in my study, it was the reading task, the academic reading comprehension. The learner will assess the task. What is the task? Okay, so now it's reading. Then they evaluate their strengths and weaknesses regarding that task. In my case, it's about the strategies. For example, what kind of a strategy regarding reading do I know to actually use as my strength points? Then they go to plan the approach phase. All of these three are called planning phases. They are all under the category of planning phase in metacognitive regulation. Then they apply the strategies, which in my case is again metacognitive reading strategies, and at this phase they start monitoring too, whether they are working or not. Are these strategies going to facilitate the reading process for them or not? And after that, they reflect on that and try to adapt themselves again to the task. Like if there are some other kinds of strategies to use, okay, so let's get adapted to the new strategies to use them for the task. Okay, so I'm going to talk about metacognition or reading comprehension. As we can see on the slide, Baker and Brown in 1984 made this assumption that reading comprehension also involves metacognitive processes. And after that, in 1995, almost 10 years later, Presley and Applebach acknowledged that good readers are strategic. They have a variety of strategies to draw upon and can adjust their strategies to meet the demands of different reading tasks. So now, at that time, there were no sets of reading strategies which could be called metacognitive strategies, but Muhtari and Richard in 2002, they introduced three sets of reading strategies: support reading strategies, problem-solving strategies, and global reading strategies. So to give you a short definition of these types of strategies, support reading strategies are basic support mechanisms that aid in comprehension and retention of information. They often involve using external resources or physical actions like taking notes, like underlining or highlighting some parts of the text, using reference materials like dictionary, which is very popular among the contexts which they learn actually English or other languages as a foreign language, or summarizing and paraphrasing the text. These are all under the category of supporting strategies. Moving to problem-solving strategies, they are techniques which are used when the readers face difficulties in understanding the text. Like, for example, rereading difficult parts of the text, or adjusting the reading speed based on the complexity of the text, or guessing the meaning of unknown words. And the last one, which is global reading strategies, they are intentional and planned strategies that set the stage for reading, actually. They help readers manage the reading process by thinking about what and why they are reading that text. Setting a purpose for reading, these are some examples. Previewing the text before reading, actually, or predicting what the text is about. So, now I think enough of introductions, and I'm going to go to my research questions. The first research question is, what kind of metacognitive reading strategies are frequently used by Iranian EFL learners? And the second one is that, is there any significant difference in the application of metacognitive reading strategies among Iranian EFL learners across different proficiency levels? To this end, and regarding my methodology, well, the design of this study is quantitative, which is also non-experimental, and I use descriptive and correlational statistics. But the main study is mixed methods, actually. But this study, at this point, I want to say I don't have any claims because I did not try actually to establish causal relationships. These are some observed relationships, and it doesn't mean that one thing causes another thing. These are some of my observations. My participants included 178 Iranian EFL learners, to be more specific, 116 female and 62 male, which were actually chosen by simple random sampling from a total population of 329 Iranian EFL students. All of them were undergraduate and graduate students who were majoring in teaching English, in English literature and English translation. So, as my instruments, I use survey of reading strategies, which was developed by Mukhtar Inshur in 2002, and TOEFL IBT, only the reading section to assess the proficiency levels of the students. And regarding the data analysis, I have used descriptive and inferential statistics in this study. Okay, so this is the descriptive statistics regarding the general information regarding the general arrivals. As we can see, the descriptive statistics for reading strategies is that if you could see reading the score, the minimum score was 4 and the maximum was 26. But the mean reading score of these learners were 15. And the range of reading scores is from 0 to 30, according to ETS reading score proficiency categorization. So, the total metacognitive reading strategies usage, the mean score was 3.55, which is considered as a high utilization of metacognitive strategies. If you look at the notes, they said that reading strategy utilization is categorized into 3 levels. High is above 3.5. When we say moderate usage of these strategies, it means 2.5 to 3.49, and low is below 2.49. So for support reading strategies, 3.81, which is again considered as a high usage strategies, problem solving 3.63, and global reading strategies, unlike the other two, is 3.33, which is considered as a moderate utilization. Okay, so I'm not going to, in the interest of time and for the sake of time, I'm not going to read all of this, but I'm going to touch upon the most used ones and the least used ones. These are the strategies regarding support reading strategies. The most used strategies were asking myself questions on text to answer and using reference materials like dictionaries. On the lower end, we can see taking notes and paraphrasing while reading. They got the least used strategy. They were the least used strategies by Iranian learners. So for problem solving strategies, we could see that the most used ones, it's when the text becomes difficult, they are going to reread it and pay closer attention. And the least ones are guessing the meaning of unknown words. And here we could see that having a purpose in mind or thinking about what they know to help them are the most used ones, and using typographical features and reviewing the text by noting these characteristics like length and organization are the least ones. And these are the ANOVA tests I've done, and there were significant differences across proficiency levels regarding the usage of metacognitive reading strategies. And the post hoc tests showed the same, although there were not significant difference between intermediate and high proficiency levels. So as my discussion, firstly, we have high frequency MRS usage, but low reading the scores, which was very interesting. It reminds me of the fact that maybe only awareness of these strategies is not going to translate into the effective application of these strategies. And this point also raises some questions about the notion of actually praxis in regards to this theory. Praxis in its contemporary meaning means, according to Bechtel, the dialectic unity of consciousness or knowledge and theory and actions that result in creation of objects. So I believe one of the solutions for the teachers to make sure that their language learners have internalized and automatized these strategies, which can also be considered as scientific knowledge, is praxis. When we say scientific knowledge, in comparison to actually the spontaneous knowledge, that we know they have some weaknesses too. Like in scientific knowledge, it takes time to gain the necessary automatic control or proceduralization for these students. And the key is praxis. So in simple language, verbalism is not enough in classes, and teachers need to make sure that although they are aware from the strategies, they need to actually make application, real application in their readings. And secondly, the inefficacious actually usage of strategies. For problem solving strategies, for example, a focus on rereading difficult sections and heightened attention during challenge parts emerge as predominant. But these strategies are interrelated and denote a focus engagement. And interestingly, the least utilized strategy was when I read, I guess the meaning of unknown words. This may signal an inefficacious application of strategies because Ozick and Sibylek, we can see that in 2006, they reported that advanced learners often deduce meaning from the text rather than resorting to dictionaries for each unknown word. So this is the first part of my discussion. The second part, actually, there were some discrepancies among the proficiency levels in the terms of using this kind of strategies. However, I didn't see any significant difference between intermediate and high proficiency levels, which denotes a notion of plateau effect. The plateau effect means that intermediate level learners, due to some factors, which I haven't actually done any studies on that, they are going to stop at some level and not using any more strategies. And one of the actually theories is that maybe they have stabilized the existing strategies and they are trying to revising them instead of actually getting new reading strategies. And thank you, everyone.